E3 is no doubt the biggest event on the gaming calendar, and it's only a few hours away now. The conference is often used by the biggest names within the industry as a platform to showcase their up-and-coming hardware and software. As per usual, the web is alive with rumours and speculation regarding what we can expect from this year's offering. Always ready to throw our 2 pence in, like keys at a swingers party, the GCKC sits down at HQ to discuss all things E3 before the 2018 conference. So, here we are. I'm General Long. I'm sat with the Full Log.
Easy now.
Captain Dirty Hurter.
What's happening?
And Dan the Man.
Hello.
Okay, so what are we expecting from EA this year?
Wow, the big obvious one is Anthem. They've shown bits and bobs in the past, which is basically a put together sort of stage demo of what it might look like, and they've been fairly quiet since then.
This is a big thing, though. I think this is a big thing with E3. You get a lot of these assumed gameplay trailers. I know we've discussed it previously. So Anthem, and then I don't know, a couple of years before, I don't know exactly when it was, Division did it. So you have these gameplay trailers, gameplay air quotes, and they turn out to not actually be gameplay trailers.
Obviously, it was shown at last year's conference. There's been controversy around it since. But for me, it could be a real winner. And I would like them to make the most of that and come good with it, you know? We had Mass Effect last year, had a lot of hype around it. Everyone was, myself personally, the Full Log, massive Mass Effect fans. And it was a big disappointment to see what they did with that game.
Yeah.
Anthem could be the next follow-up title, something like that we could all get really stuck into. And I've got real high hopes for it. Whether they come true or not is another thing.
It's a shame, really, because I like the look of it from what we've seen, but it's a shame I have to say this, but now I see a game at E3 and I have to hold my breath. Like, that's probably not going to be the final game, and that's not the way it should be now. You know, we should see what we're going to play, or at least somewhere near it in terms of graphical aspect or gameplay aspect.
I agree with you, Dan, there. I think particularly with Anthem, I'm not saying I'm not excited about it. I am. But it just looks like you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Once again, we're going back to this idea of pseudo gameplay trailers, where it's actually not anything like the gameplay in the finished game. We've used the Division example previously, and what I would like to see is people just be a little bit, particularly these AAA publishers and developers, be a little bit more honest, and just show me a little bit of a pre-render. Show me a bit of pre-render or something, but don't try and blag me that it's gameplay when I'm pretty certain that it's not going to be anything like that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So what else have we got from EA that you're excited about?
I'm excited, maybe a possible Titanfall 3. I really enjoyed Titanfall 2. I like the gameplay model of it. Free DLC, no pay to win multi-transactions.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Which they've said they're doing for Battlefield 5.
Yeah, but they said that for Battlefront 2, don't forget, and look at the state of that game.
But I don't think they can go. I mean, we're not here to talk about microtransactions, loot boxes, whatever.
Of course, yeah.
But
Ka-ching!
You can't talk about EA at the moment without sort of bringing that to mind. And I don't think they've learned their lesson, but they've certainly learned that they can't get away with the shenanigans that they've been brazenly sort of exhibiting over the past couple of years. So I think for them, it's a massive PR stunt to start actually not putting in play-to-win mechanics, loot boxes, etc. So to be fair, I believe them on Battlefield. I think they've got to win back their fan base, who are massively turned off, and that includes me.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. I agree with you 100% there. But you've always got that risk. But,
in regards to EA's press conference, it's not actually in the building. They've got a separate thing where EA Play, where they're doing it, and I think that it's next door. I don't know what the conference centre's called. So it's kind of like EA's a publisher, like we don't want to be associated with E3, but then they're still there at the same time. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. Do we think Titanfall 3 is actually going to be there? I mean, when was that? Was it last year, the year before?
Well, given that they're releasing a Battlefield this year, then they'll probably release Titanfall the week before Battlefield or just after. Maybe if they can split it between Battlefield and COD again to completely bury the series, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do.
I'm pro for that.
So
I'm a big fan.
Was that last year? Was that last year?
No, I think it was 2016, was it?
I can't remember. Basically, what we're getting at, if you don't know, is EA released Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2, and it had to compete with Call of Duty at the same time. And it was like, well, why didn't you wait and split those games up?
Yeah, as we talk about Titanfall, I was going to say, as good as it was a very good game, and it's a shame that no one played it, because I would happily play another Titanfall with updated mechanics. You know, I think the game is solid, but like I said, no one played it, and it bombed a bit because it had to compete with Call of Duty and Battlefield 1.
I wouldn't say no one played it. Obviously, people did play it, but it just wasn't ever. It was released at the wrong time to compete with those games.
Yeah.
How did it ever have a chance? It's the whole setup was ridiculous, and those that did play it enjoyed it. But unfortunately, a lot of the public only has a limited amount of cash to spend on games. And what are you going to pick? The new Call of Duty?
Well, we had that weird situation where there were three big first-person shooters within the space of about 3 weeks. And I think we went big and went on all of them. And ultimately what happened was we didn't play any of them very much.
No, that's true. I would agree on that. Titanfall 2, particularly for me, was the actual Titan gameplay. I didn't think was brilliant. I really liked the pilot where you run around and build momentum and stuff. But the Titan gameplay wasn't all that. But let's concentrate on what we're going to see from E3. So, what about EA Sports this year?
Well, as every year, it's the boring bit of their conference, which I care very little for. They'll show a FIFA, which is slightly updated from last year's FIFA, some kind of American football game, and probably some kind of basketball title.
In terms of EA Sports, I'm sure that FIFA must be one of the biggest franchises, not just sport franchises, computer game franchises in the world. It's huge.
Of course it is.
But for me, I'd like to see, there's hundreds of sports out there, and I found it really interesting because it's a game you don't have to worry about like building up these gameplay mechanics or like building the design. Probably is a better way of talking about it, because it's already there for you within the sport. So why can't EA Sports? It might not be as lucrative, but why can't they explore other sports?
Well,
for that reason, exactly.
Lucrative is the key word there.
It really annoys me.
Let's shine back to EA and the way they operate their business.
No one's going to play EA curling, are they?
Okay. So, right then, guys. So, in terms of EA, what about The Sims?
Well, it's another one of those franchises that they've kind of DLC'd to death. I mean, I loved the first Sims, and even The Sims 2. I could get lost in that for hours. I used to make.
What do you call it? The Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon. It become an every day of the week game. And I used to make all my Sims up as people that I knew, and I'd like manipulate their lives, and I'd love it. I had my mate Craig, and every time he'd do my head in, I'd get him in trouble at school or whatever. And I just really loved the mechanics in the game. But what I feel has happened, I got The Sims 3, and I was like, well, they've expanded a bit, but they've also stripped it back, ready for either DLC or for, I don't know, what I want from a Sims sequel would be everything that I had in my last version of The Sims and some, and then DLC me later, and I'll happily buy it. But they strip it back, and I didn't even play The Sims 4. I did hear that it was stripped back as expected from EA. So again, it's a title that doesn't excite me anymore.
I got a version of it for free a couple of years ago. I don't know what Sims it was, and straight away I played it for about half an hour, and I was like, "Let's get this chick boning."
Oh yeah,
and it turns out you need to be like level 20 to bone. And I was doing my head in like, what? So I'm frantically clicking the mouse trying to get a bone in, and it ain't happening. Like, well, that's crap. Then let's just turn that off.
Yeah, I've never played a Sims game. It's not a series for me, really.
You don't like
Me neither.
I'm not even into decorating the house or whatever. I'll happily live in a shithole. When it comes to The Sims, I want my blue wallpaper in this room. I want my purple wallpaper in that room. A little flower in the corner.
Sex room.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I'm going to decorate your house how you want it to be. And I would much rather live here than the house I've got at the minute, which is decorated by the missus.
And then you've always got the trick of putting someone you don't like in a room and taking the door off, and they can't get out, and they shit and piss themselves to death. Like, come on, what is wrong?
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Back to EA, I think we've missed a big point. New Star Wars games. But Respawn have got a Star Wars game in the works, so rumours say. So I'm expecting a very big,
Star Wars announcement.
Star Wars
announcement from EA at E3.
Yeah, EA Play we'll call it. But
That's fair
I'm definitely expecting a few Star Wars games. Maybe a Call of Duty first-person shooter style sort of Star Wars game. Then maybe a story-driven action Star Wars style game.
Right then. So next on the agenda is going to be one of the big boys, which is Microsoft. They we don't think that. Well, I don't think there'll be any hardware this year.
No.
Are we all in agreement with that? I mean, when we talk about hardware, we mean a new console. Hardware could be anything in terms of peripherals. There's all the VR around at the minute, and the amount of money that's been spent. There's potential there for Microsoft to want to push their VR in regards to the conference. So, in terms of hardware, when we mean a new console, I think we can all agree that there's a good chance that there's not going to be a new.
Well, I think Microsoft are pushing towards augmented reality. Do you remember they had their holo table and stuff a few years ago?
That looks really cool.
And
the Minecraft.
Nothing ever come by it. So
no.
Was that it was goggles, wasn't it? And they both had goggles.
It was like a lens, wasn't it, over the eye, and it was it looked
so
really cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something to do with that at Microsoft.
I'd be into that. I'd be excited about that.
We can only hope, can't we?
If it's Microsoft and VR, I think they will have done some sort of deal with Oculus, and I think the announcement would be Oculus Rift is coming too.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Right, okay, and so in terms of games, in regards to Microsoft, so I think the best thing for us to do is start with first-party support. So, I'm not massively up on this, but what was last year? Did we have any Gears and Halo going on? Because they're two big first-party monsters, aren't they?
There is rumour that we will be seeing some form of Halo title this year. The studio...
4-2 or
3-4-3.
3-4-3. So they took over from Bungie.
Yes, I've heard the rumour on the web, the grapevine as you would, that we'll be seeing some form of new Halo title this year.
Okay, that's cool. And I'd really like to see Gears come back as well. So Gears was Epic. We're all aware of that. And after Epic left Microsoft's first-party support team, they moved on to do a few other things, which we're not going to talk about.
Paragon.
So who is we've had a Gears since Epic left?
Yeah, I think we have.
Who was the developer?
I can't remember, but I didn't play it. Apparently, it wasn't that great. Even the last Gears that I played, which was Gears of War 3, I think actually me and you come back from the pub one night when I just got it, and we were like, oh, hey, let's play this. And we played it for about half an hour, and then we were like, okay, and then I never picked it up again.
I can't remember that because we've been on the pub. But yeah, so those are our first party big boys.
Wow, there is rumour, and it's only rumour, that although the studio doesn't exist anymore, Microsoft still own the IP for Fable, and there is a massive rumour that there could be a potential revival of the Fable brand.
I would absolutely love a new Fable game.
Fan, aren't you?
Massive fan of the Fable game. The full log here as well. The first Fable was outstanding, quality title. Number 2, wishy-washy, scaled back, simplified, this classic gaming problem of here is this big game, all these options and all the bells and whistles. Let's make a second version. Everyone loved it. Oh, and guess what now? Your 5-year-old can play it. That's not what we want. So if we are going to get a return from Fable, I would love it to arc back to its original qualities, and really excited to see what they've got to offer in regard to that.
I mean, in terms of games in general, I have a really generic point here, and I think that they should age with their audience. And I think it would have so much value if games age with their audience, and then you fill out that child's game spot with new IP. New IP for young kids to get invested in, and then as that develops, it changes and becomes more mature and et cetera, et cetera.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Don't even start, 'cause I love Harry Potter. What?
Wait, now can you please go and run the new Fable game?
Yeah. Thank you. But another, I'm not sure how first party it was, but they had. I remember on the Xbox, they had an amazing sort of like horror title, and you had a flashlight.
Alan Wake.
Say again. Alan Wake. Yeah. And I played that. I played that round Chadwick's house, and I thought it was a fantastic title. The way that you use light to light up the dark, and then you could shoot with your pistol and all the rest of it. I'd like to see that come back. You know, like if you're gonna have first party support that is completely away. Like, let's get it right. Halo and Gears are fairly similar. They're both like sort of hardcore shooters to a certain degree. I know one's in third person, but you know, they're fairly similar games. Like, why can't we have these first party games that are very, very different and bring them back? Let's embrace these
100%, yeah.
Especially when everything on the market tends to be a shooter nowadays. Right. So what else have we got from Microsoft this year? So Rare have come back with Sea of Thieves. Was that last? That was last year.
No, wow, it released this year, and as a shell of a game by all accounts. Now, it was something that I was really excited for. We tried to play the beta, and it didn't quite work out. I think the time that we had available and
there was issues getting in a party with your team.
So I didn't get to play it while it was in the beta. I was pushing for you guys to get on board when it went live, but you wanted to hold back, and it turned out it was the right decision because everyone's saying it's just not a game. There's no content.
Yeah, for me, Sea of Thieves was a massive disappointment. It was on the Four Logs radar for quite a while. He'd shown me the game, the trailers, etc. And at first, I weren't too sure. I was sat on the fence a little bit. But ultimately, as it got closer and closer to release, I did start to get excited about this title. And ultimately, when we got into the beta, although we couldn't play together, I did do a good couple of hours on my own. And it was really basic and really lacking. There wasn't much there. There wasn't many things to do.
But you're right to be excited because the pedigree is there. Like, Rare are machines.
My heart was there for Rare.
Yeah. I think it's another classic example of this pre-rendered gameplay. So I've seen videos of the difference between the E3 reveal gameplay trailer, and then they've gone through it themselves, and you know, it's nothing's the same. And I think it was hyped up to be this big open world game where you play with your friends, do quests together. But in the reality, it was none of that. It was just a very basic game.
It's you've been working on that game for X amount of years now. We need to go live with it kind of situation.
Yeah.
Instead of, you've been working on this game for 5 years now. It's coming on, but it probably needs a bit more time in the oven. Get some content, make this mega.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're going to delay it again.
Hopefully there's a bit of a big update announcement where they've been working hard to improve the game, which then, yes, I might get involved again.
So are we alluding to we would like to see some form of big DLC announcement at the conference this year, or update to bring this title back to the forefront?
No, fuck up. Make a game, deliver it. That's it. You've had your chance, Rare. You've bollocksed it.
Rare, you fucked it.
Yeah, you fucked it.
Get in the bin.
But the thing is as well is that we're talking about the pedigree.
Get in the sea.
Yeah. In the sea. The thing is with Rare is the reason why it's got so much pedigree. For people who don't know, Rare produced GoldenEye. GoldenEye is an absolute standalone
classic.
It's a classic. It's classic, and it pushed console shooters into the future. It was amazing, and they followed it up with some really nice titles. It's GoldenEye's spiritual successor was Perfect Dark. Yeah, Perfect Dark. Brilliant. The way that the weapons worked and whatever. But let's not get bogged down in it. But there is your pedigree right there for Rare. But when was Perfect Dark? We're talking probably maybe 20 years, maybe something along those lines.
You even come later. So you've got titles like Banjo-Kazooie, which wasn't for me, but it has quite a big following. But a big one for me, and you'll laugh. But Viva Pinata, the original Viva Pinata, was a fucking good game.
Okay,
it was absolutely
cool. Okay, so next upon the agenda is Bethesda. So I'll start with this. This year, it's already been announced. We've already seen it. Is Rage 2. The first Rage, I was a massive fan of. I know this has got nothing to do with the game. Well, it has got something to do with the game, but nothing to do with the actual gameplay. But I thought that the trailer, the intro for the game, where the asteroid comes in through the solar system, smashes through Saturn's rings, takes a big chunk out of the moon, and comes in, and you've got them all loading up into the Ark. I thought that was brilliant. The music was great, all the rest of it, and the AI, the AI, the NPCs within Rage was fantastic. The way that there were different types of NPCs, and some of them were dead quick, and they'd jump off the walls and do evasive rolls, and then you go into another area and they'd cover each other and flank you, and there was and then some of them would fire explosives to soften you out of cover and stuff like that. I really, really liked that. It was just a little bit too short for me. I'm hoping that this year they expand on it. What I don't want is a new battle royale mode and a massive multiplayer suite, and just.
Oh, have you not heard? There's going to be a battle royale.
What, within Rage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, every game's got a battle royale mode now, hasn't it? For God's sake.
So sticking to Rage a second, the first game was something that actually I looked at and I wanted to play it, but I just never got around to picking it up and playing it. I don't think it did as well as they wanted it to, and I was really surprised to see Bethesda showing their hand with that prior to E3.
I thought the IP was dead. I really did. I thought that was the end of it.
But then they go and do a second show of hand in Fallout 76. Now that again was it's kind of thing you want them to reveal at the conference. It was totally not what I was expecting.
No, me neither. I was expecting hopefully it does happen, but a new Elder Scrolls game. We'll see. However, Fallout 76, I do love Fallout. Fallout 4 was a good game, but not a good Fallout game. It lacked that, that choice and the dynamic what Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas had to offer. But however, I have heard leaks or read leaks on Kotaku that it's an online survival game. So, such as Ark and Conan Exiles, DayZ. So you have your base building, you have your quests, and you have to fight for these resources with other players from other vaults. So
now this is, I read the same article in Kotaku. So I've got two theories. So the one theory is that Kotaku is correct, and it's an online survival game, which would be right on my street at the moment, because we got balls deep in Ark, we're currently balls deep in Conan Exiles, and Fallout just fits that what they did with Fallout 4, where you started, there was elements of base building, there was elements of survival in there, and I think the world would be absolutely bang on for it. My other theory is, actually, it's not that, it's what New Vegas was to Fallout 3, and they've handed it off to the likes of someone like Obsidian to put out just another Fallout game. I'll be less interested in that. Despite the fact that Fallout New Vegas was really good,
it was,
I'd be more keen for the survival game.
I don't know about that. Oh.
So my history with the Fallout franchise started with Fallout 3 on the PlayStation 3. Absolutely love the title. Spent a lot of hours there. Good 100 plus. New Vegas, Fallout 4 on the PS4. Didn't get my interest. I got the title when it came out, played it for a few hours, and just couldn't get into that at the time. I am really excited, as the Fallout said, about the potential of this being some sort of survival game. This very big genre that we're into at the minute, your Arks, your Conans, etc. And I think that could be great for the franchise myself, personally.
It's good saying that, but, as we know, Bethesda, they made a campaign like, don't let single-player games die. And it would be hard to believe that they're going to make a multiplayer game going against their values. So, like I said, with Bethesda, they might incorporate online quests and missions with that.
So they made a big hoo-ha about it. Now
but we did have we had Skyrim, not Skyrim, sorry,
Elder Scrolls Online.
Elder Scrolls Online, massive multiplayer game.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What you do have to remember though is Bethesda, as well as being a studio, they have a publisher, and they do hold other studios under their wing. As you see, I think id are with them, and that's who are they responsible for Rage.
Yeah.
And obviously Doom and titles of that ilk.
And they're very much single player guys. Right, let's wrap this up a little bit.
Before we move off from Bethesda, so they have stated that they've got some new IPs in the works.
Yeah.
Personally, Dan, I know you mentioned the Elder Scrolls 6. I am telling you now, you are not going to see the Elder Scrolls 6 at this E3.
I would be very surprised.
Yeah, if they show the Elder Scrolls 6 at the next E3, not only will I be massively excited, But because I believe they're not going to do it so much, I will stick my finger on my bum and then put it in my mouth if the Elder Scrolls 6 is out.
I'll hold you to that, Gib.
Yeah, hold me to it.
And we will show that.
Yeah, from what
that might be a new thing, actually. Let's see what else he'll do.
Yeah, from what I've heard from the leaks of this new IP, is it Starfield?
Starfield,
yeah. It sounds very ambitious, and from what I've heard, I think I'll be really into it.
But again, some of the leaks around Starfield.
So talk a little bit about
online.
Starfield. Sorry, just for people that aren't in the know, let's talk about a little bit about Starfield. So what is it then?
Well, we don't actually know, other than it's potentially a new IP from Bethesda. I think it's their main studio that's doing it. But there've been a load of leaks which are dubious in their origin. But there's a lot of pointing towards things like procedural generation. So there's going to be some handcrafted worlds and there's going to be some procedural generated worlds. I think there's online components to it as well. And it's a lot of things that actually Bethesda don't normally do.
Yeah.
And whether they're trying to jump on the bandwagon of the likes of Star Citizen and potentially Elite Dangerous, and there's some other titles out there that are doing sort of a space opera. But that's kind of the angle that people are saying that they're going to be taking.
Cool. Okay then. So we're going to move on. Next on the agenda is Devolver Digital. Devolver? Have I said that right? Devolver Digital?
Devolver Digital.
I don't know what the fuck is going on here. It is mental.
It was their first time at E3 last year as their own individual conference. I believe they've had showings before through Sony's conference as a indie developer section.
So Devolver Digital are an indie publisher.
Yes.
An indie publisher. And last year's E3 thing had this weird video which we watched earlier where they sort of, the woman's head exploded and there was tears, and there was a lot of satire in regards to things like microtransactions and early access and stuff like that, which it appears they're dead against. I mean,
I was scared and confused. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm interested to see what they've got.
Yeah.
You know? And I quite like that they're, based on their satire last year, that they've actually got this idea of we're gonna be a little bit more stand up, and we're not chasing after money, we're not chasing after early access, we're not chasing after modifications in game based on microtransactions, etc., etc. So let's put a pin in that. We'll see what happens this year, and they're potentially one to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Next on the agenda then is Square Enix. So Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy Online.
What I think we might see is a Sleeping Dogs 2.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where they're going.
So people that aren't in the know then, Dan, Sleeping Dogs is this, who was it? John Woo or someone like that? Is that right? Is that right?
It was based off of John Woo, weren't it? Sort of.
And it's the Kung Fu in, was it China or Japan or something like that?
Based in Hong Kong. You're under the cover cup. You work for the triads.
And you have to lick people up.
Yeah, pretty much. But, you know, it was good character development. You sort of swayed to like the triads, and you could sort of play it off to sort of join the triads or the police. You know, you could play it in your own way. But, you know, it had quite a bit of a positive fan base, and it was a good game, but it's got a bit quiet. But I've heard leaks that we could be seeing a new one, which I would like, because the first one was a really good game.
It's something I never played, but I always had my eye on as something like, oh man, that's interesting, maybe I'll pick it up when it's on sale, and I never did. But it looks interesting. It definitely looks interesting.
What about Final Fantasy then? So I've never been a big Final Fantasy player. I remember years and years and years ago, I don't know where I heard this from, but like Final Fantasy, was it like 7 or Final Fantasy 7? That was the big one, wasn't it? It was massive. Yeah. And I remember years and years ago that Final Fantasy 7 was like the 4th best game of the 20th century or something ridiculous like that. And everyone loves it. Is Final Fantasy now resting on their laurels?
So I'm more into the Final Fantasy sort of games, more so than you guys. So firstly, one of the things we might see is something on the remake of Final Fantasy VII, which I think was announced at E3 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But they haven't really said much about it since. So anyway, Final Fantasy 15 was the last one that they did.
Yeah,
I got it.
Milk the cow.
Well,
can't wait for 25.
But I like that. You know, you don't have to reboot everything. Like, throw the number on it. So what? It's great.
It had some interesting ideas. Obviously, everyone's joked about it's a boy band road trip or whatever. It was okay, and I probably played like 20, 30 hours, and I thought, it weren't for me. They changed the battle system to be more real time, which I always like the turn-based battle system, but it wasn't that bothered me. I don't know, it just didn't suck me in. And one of the things that I've noticed about the Final Fantasy series is the older games, there was a lot of text. It was, the story was played out through text. And when the character spoke, it was in text. And it had this lovely, like, innocent kind of feel to it, where you read the text and you have the voices in your head. As soon as they started voice acting on, it lost its appeal to me, because the dialogue, dialogue and voice acting is just always really bad.
So Final Fantasy VII, was that
was text, yeah.
So yeah, all of a sudden, Fit Fiona turned into what? What was the Final Fantasy game that we played online? The
Final Fantasy 14 online. That was actually
that was not a bad title.
Yeah.
Is that where you had all the pink gear and you were selling?
The full.
He was selling pink gear. He could change the colour of the gear that he was selling. I never played it, but could change the colour of the gear that he was selling, and people that bought it couldn't change the colour of the gear. So he was doing that thing, Warcraft style.
Full Logs Boutique, pink leather goods.
And people were buying them because they were like really high, like value or whatever. And they were running around, and he would go to the little village where he sold his shit, and everyone was running around with pink gear.
This is a true story. Yeah, I decided to do Dr. Log's pink leather goods sales, and basically, I put it on the market. It was decent gear, and I put it at a market a little bit below cost. Like, I was making money off it, but it wasn't as high priced as some of the other guys. They couldn't see when they bought it what colour it was, so it wasn't until
they whipped it.
And they couldn't change the colour afterwards.
I think they could, but it was a bit of an effort to do it. You bought your new gear, you put it on, and it's pink.
Okay. Good stuff. So Ubi is next. Now, Ubi are massive. Obviously, they're one of the biggest third-party publishers in the world, and they have got a serious amount of stuff potentially coming to E3 this year. So I think the best thing for us to do is start with things that are definitely been announced. So we know that The Division 2 is out there.
Yeah, Division was a big title for Ubi. Built up massively, the hype train was rolling in, and a lot of people got drawn in, and we enjoyed it. There was a lot of us got stuck in.
I can, as much as it took a lot of flack, we got a lot of fun out of The Division.
I really enjoyed The Division. They did the beta before it came out, or a trial weekend, and me and the captain put in some serious hours. The first time you went into that dark zone, oh my god, the gameplay, the environments, the snow. Me and the captain sneaking around the streets of New Manhattan, like, what is going on? You see someone in the shadows, is someone there? The atmosphere,
the mechanic of getting the equipment or whatever it was, and then extracting it was just fantastic. The extraction come in. At the end of it all, I wasn't a fan. I was frustrated with, and we've discussed this in detail a lot, but I was frustrated with the reuse of NPCs. I wanted those story missions that they threw in there to have real sort of like interactions with the environment. I wanted to have the NPC. I love a boss. That's my thing. I'm mad. I love a boss, and it felt like the bosses were just bullet sponges, and there could have been more of them. Very different styles of bosses with different styles of attacks, and you could have moved around. There could have been environmental things that had to bring them down, and it just weren't that. It was just pulling the trigger. And towards the end, I dropped off. I mean, I know you guys went absolutely nuts, platinum the game and all the rest of it on the PS4, but it wasn't for me, and I ended up having to pull out after a certain thing.
I think we can all agree, for all Division's flaws, that there was something there that kept players coming back, and the people that enjoyed the title stuck with it. So, Division 2, what would you like to see from it? As a person that didn't quite get on with Division 1, Captain, what are your thoughts?
I want you to have to work as a team, and that means I want to see those skill trees diversify massively. I want to see you specialising within those trees. And I want to see that expanded as well. Different styles of healers, different styles of support characters, different styles of DPS, different styles of tanks. And I want you to be able to, no, not be able to, have to rely on other members of your team to be able to support you. It's a team game when you're approaching these missions. I want to see bosses. I want a multiplayer experience where we have to work together as a team to take the boss down. You know, stun him, hold him in place while we drop the big fucking thing on his head or whatever. You know, one geezer's there on the lever ready to drop the thing and the other geezer are opening the taps and one person's, you know, pinning him in place and then we're pulling the thing and bam, and it's on his head and that's what I want.
I can counter sort of some of what you've said there with, and this is what I don't want to see in the Division, but what you did have was that, and it came to Destiny as well. It was like your first playthrough of the game was fairly straightforward and didn't require you to do these things. Once you finish the game, the thing was, this is where the game really starts, and you playing the missions on hard. And then there is a lot more of that teamwork involved. But don't do that. Don't make me play through the whole game and see everything that you've got to offer in terms of story and advancement. And then when I've done all of that, the actual difficulty or
the meat.
The complexity comes in. Give me the complexity fairly early on and show me like what am I going to be doing at endgame.
Okay, so we've got loads more things to talk about in regards to Ubi. So we had Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 had a very nice mechanic in it where there was ships. But then what happened after that was they created a full game based around that had the ship mechanic was very much more a part of it. Black Flag felt much more like an actual pirate game than really an Assassin's Creed game. And I think that what happened there was Ubi really seen that there was a potential there. And so now we have Skull and Bones. So Skull and Bones is the ship mechanic from Black Flag, from Assassin's Creed 3 that they have now expanded into a AAA game of its own.
Okay.
And I believe it's based in the Indian Ocean. So go, Log. What are we looking forward to?
I'm excited about this, and I am hoping it kind of feels that piratey void left that didn't quite get fulfilled by Sea of
Thieves. Yeah, and I think that's where it's at.
And while I like the style of Sea of Thieves with the cartoony, kind of reminded me a little bit of Monkey Island, etc., this looks like it's a bit more of a serious piratey thing, akin to possibly, I don't know if you guys have ever played Sid Meier's Pirates.
I did play it. What is that, like 20, 25 years old?
Yeah. But he did like a bit of a reboot, probably like 10, 15 years ago, which was quite good as well.
What are we looking for from Skull and Bones?
Multiplayer, cooperative action. I want to be on a team with you guys, getting the other guys. I want to be commanding ships, whether that's we're all on the same ship.
Yeah, or are we doing it like different ships?
So either or, I think I'll be happy, and I think that naval combat could be really, really good, really exciting.
One of the best things about the original Ubi stuff that they've done, like we're talking about Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, was the way that the oceans changed and the way you had to manipulate the oceans before you fired weapons and so on. I want them to expand on that mechanic. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not massively excited about it because for me it was just it felt a little bit perfunctory. But if they can expand on it like in a big way, I can see myself sinking a lot of hours into it. No, and that's it. If we can work together as a firm on one ship, or if we're doing a maneuver, like move that ship into here, move that ship, I'd really be into that.
Yeah.
So Beyond Good and Evil. I've got to be honest with you. Last year when Beyond Good and Evil come out, when they showcased the pre-render at E3 last year, and I was like, I really don't know what this is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people.
What is the game?
I don't know.
I played the first one when I was a little kid. I can't.
What's hit me then? What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
I'm playing on my friend's PlayStation. It's like a sort of open world sort of game, not proper open world, but like you were like there's like animals in it. I remember you go around fighting like pigs and that, like pig monsters. and you just do missions for something like Mad Smuggler or Pirate, something like that, and it was all right. It was a good game, but I can't really remember it. It's not one of those games what I remember as a kid. Really,
a lot of people hold the game in quite high regard. It completely passed me by. I don't really know much about it.
I was really young when I played it.
But it's potentially there. This is something that we need to keep our eye on. Okay, so next up is The Crew 2. We know that it's going to be at E3 this year. None of us are particularly mad into the style of driving games. I'm interested to see where this game takes us.
So, I like the idea of illegal street racing. It's definitely more my kind of thing than, say, the dirt games where it's rally style or whatever. I like the idea of working as a firm together to sort of,
a relay sort of style.
Not just relay, but you're in the same race. It's kind of like how you might get with F1 where you've got teams and you sort of work together to get the higher positions or whatever. But obviously in an illegal street race situation.
Because I think that F1 games don't really work.
No, absolutely.
Because everyone likes to crash into each other. Yeah, and there's no way that you can penalise people for that.
Absolutely. Whereas in illegal street racing, you can crash into each other however the fuck you like. I mean, you look back at old games like Road Rash, where you clubbing people around the head.
Burnout was very similar, where you earned kudos for racing in that particular way. So then, the next thing we want to talk about in regards to Ubi is some would argue their flagship game is Assassin's Creed. So last year we had Assassin's Creed Origin. Now, in my opinion, this year, Ubi are going to want to reuse the assets that they've put in place for Assassin's Creed. So for people who don't know, Assassin's Creed Origin was set in ancient Egypt, which means that things like sand and et cetera, are, like sand and palm trees and whatever they've got going on is ripe and ready for them to reuse those models in another title. So there's the potential there for, now that Kratos has left Greece, there's the potential there for them to move into ancient Greece, which has been a rumour on the web. There's also the potential there, which I heard very recently, that they might be revisiting Altair, who was the original assassin in Assassin's Creed. What do we think?
I would absolutely love them to bring back Altair. For me, that first game was an absolute must-play, an amazing title that came off out of nowhere, didn't know anything about it, started playing, didn't have the surprise room through when it got through back to present day, and was amazed and enthralled. Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 4, 5.
Well, Assassin's Creed 2 was groundbreaking, weren't it?
Well, you say that, but it bored the fucking pants off me. And
really?
That is the point. So I knew a bit more about the original Assassin's Creed before it came out and enjoyed it, but was mildly disappointed. Played 2 and I didn't complete it. And at that time, I was completing all of my games, all of my single-player games. I was smashing them out. And I just got bored. And I haven't picked up Assassin's Creed since.
To be honest with you, I've played a lot of it, but this is the thing. We're definitely in a position where Ubi spent a lot of money developing Assassin's Creed Origin. I think we can agree that they're going to want to reuse these assets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So revisiting Altair makes complete sense because you're not too far. I mean, I don't know exactly what the time difference is, but you're not too far off revisiting that individual in terms of the time frames were in game. Also, as well, there's a potential for ancient Greece, but I think that Altair is definitely going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
I think that's the way to go. If you're going to try and revamp the franchise, let's bring back that original protagonist.
And what would we like to see in terms of gameplay?
Well, just to cut in there, you do know that my understanding is that they are putting Assassin's Creed now on a 2-year release cadence. I don't think we'll see.
We may not see it.
Yeah, that's
we
fair
may
enough,
not see a release this year. They may show what they're working on, maybe.
But let's say hypothetically we do see release this year. I tell you what, one of the things that I'd really like to see from Assassin's Creed, and use this as a segue if you want, is whatever they decide to do, whether it's now or whether they're just saying that they're going to release it in a couple of years' time, make it like Splinter Cell. Make it tight, really, really, really raw, hardcore stealth. We're talking really, really high-end AI. I don't want to see stupid cones of influence. I want you to use every aspect, sound, shadows, moving around, all those type of things, and maybe make it less open world. Maybe make it more linear and have this real thing. And I think that segues us beautifully into the next aspect of what we expect to see at Ubi this year. And these are things that we haven't heard about, and we're thinking maybe we're going to see Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well,
Log?
I think it'd be very likely we'll see Splinter Cell. So they've revived their Tom Clancy brand has been big win for Ubi, and we've seen new IP in terms of the Division. We've seen a resurgence of the Rainbow Six with Siege, and we've seen a resurgence of Ghost Recon with Wildlands. Now I don't think they're going to return to those.
But Wildlands has had a Sam Fisher mission built into it and released recently.
Yeah,
even with your man Michael Ironside.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
I'd love him to be on stage.
All the signposts point to, for me, it would make sense for them to now revisit Splinter Cell.
I think it's going to be a 99% fact that it will be a Splinter Cell reveal, and I love Splinter Cell, so I'm hoping. And I hope they bring back the Spies vs. Mercs game mode as well on multiplayer. So I really enjoyed that as well.
There are some real standout gameplay moments in your life. And me and the General playing split screen Splinter Cell.
Conviction. Was
it Conviction?
I believe it was.
And me and the General playing Conviction, and then there was a cooperative campaign, and you could only do it via like a weird link if we wanted to play it together, couldn't we? And it was one of the most amazing experiences ever. And I think it's so important to have those cooperative gameplay moments, and that was brilliant. And now we are really, personally, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got going on with this new Splinter Cell. And I love that cooperative gameplay for Conviction, and I hope that they've got something else going on this year, and I hope that it's announced, and I hope they have it.
So before we move off Ubisoft, there's one more thing that I'd like to talk about that I'd really like to see from them. Over the past couple of years, they've had a bit of a VR representation. They've done a couple of different things in VR. Not all of them have been really successful or well done. But one of the things they have done fantastically was the Star Trek Bridge Crew VR game, which has been one of my best experiences in VR. I know me and General Long had a little play on it over Christmas, and we just had so much fun. I'd love them to have a more fleshed out a version of that game, like a Bridge Crew 2. I'd love you guys to get involved with that, because I think you're missing out.
Yeah, I would like to touch on that. As the log said, absolutely amazing title. The laughs, the belly rolls, the misinterpretations, the captain saying lock on phasers, and hang on, that's going to take me 30 seconds.
Mr. didn't go through the tutorials.
Hats off to Big Ron. Hats off to Big Ron, our captain. When we finally got stuck in, we had a good few hours of gameplay. One of the best PSVR titles I've ever played. Respect to Ubisoft for that. And again, we would love to see a new version of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So if they expand on it, what would you like to see?
A bit more going on with each individual console, and a bit more sort of mission design that allows for you to be more doing more things at the same time.
What do you think, Dan?
I've watched General Long and Log play Bridge Crew, and it looks amazing. In the new one, if it is announced, I would love to see PvP ships fighting each other. So you have two separate teams in VR fighting each other's ships.
That would be
especially with people driving the ships and aiming the cannons and that. I think that'd be absolutely real, and I'll definitely get on board with that.
Maybe even getting to play as some of the different races, and having the different races ships operate slightly different. So we could be like the Klingons, like
Can I have a translator, please?
Yeah.
No, but that would be so cool if you spoke in English, and then, I mean, I'm not saying that they take those words and then put them into Klingon, but Star Trek is another one, like Star Wars or Harry Potter or whatever, where there is so much canon there that you don't necessarily have to worry about building building a world. The world is already built. Exploit it. Why are these games so richly detailed with everything associated with it?
I think they had a really, really good foundation in Bridge Crew to really do something.
Was the gameplay good?
Yeah, well, yeah.
In those high pressure moments, you needed each person on each station to perform.
We're back to this idea
correctly.
of real teamwork and real MMO teamwork.
And when that came to the crunch, it was amazing. And that's when Star Trek Bridge Crew was at its best.
You completely forgot you were in
Ubisoft. If you can deliver another version of that with
expanded
gameplay and more responsibility for each team member, then you have got the best VR title today.
It's ready to go. You've got the view screen. You can throw up whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever. Okay, cool. Okay then, Dan. Next up is the PC conference. Why are you excited about that?
I'm very excited because I'm a big-time PC gamer. I've always been on PC. Probably my biggest excitement is I'm hoping Bohemia Interactive will be there, showcasing, not revealing, but I'd like to see a showcase of Arma 4 or what it could be, because I'm a big Arma player.
So hit us with Arma, people who don't know what it is.
So
what is it?
Arma is a military simulator on the PC. Very hard to run, lovely graphics, and very realistic gunplay. You know, your gunplay, bullet velocity, and all that. You know, it's very realistic and intense.
So it's a really hardcore simulator.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, one bullet and you're dead if you haven't. You know, it's all about tactics, how you approach the enemy. So, any games you're excited about, Log?
I don't know. I'd like to see. They had last year. They had Total War Warhammer 2, and I'd like to see what's going on with the third instalment this year. So I think that would be really, really good. I'd like to see some MMOs because MMOs work best on PC.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'd like to see a good MMO that breaks the mold, that's not a World of Warcraft copy, which has been going on now for the best part of 15 years. I'd like to see from CCP, the developer of Eve. I've heard that they are working on a new title, whether that's an extension of the Eve universe or whether it's a new IP in itself. I'd really like to see what they're doing. There's some other MMOs that I don't think will actually be at E3, but I'd like it if they were. So the Chronicles of Illyria is definitely something that I'm really looking forward to, and I'd like to see in some capacity. You might find them going for something like possibly a bit about Warframe, which has been absolutely massive.
Yeah.
But Warframe do have their own conference, and the same with Star Citizen. They've got TennoCon for Warframe. They've got CitizenCon for Star Citizen. So it's unlikely you'll see them there.
I think probably what we'll definitely see is Gaijin Entertainment. I think I'm pronouncing it right. The developers of War Thunder. They've got a new Milsim World War II game, first person, coming out. So it's called Enlisted. There's not much information about it, just a few teaser trailers, but I'm pretty sure that will be there this year because they actually released a Battle Royale demo of it, of the core mechanics, which was quite fun. Cuisine Royale, I think it was called. So that was quite cool. But in general, the game was really nice. It's actually running on the War Thunder engine. So I think that'll be a quite cool reveal. We'll see how the game works out.
I'd also like to see, I'd like to see a really good, tasty MOBA. Now, League of Legends, I've never been a big League of Legends player. That obviously has been leading the MOBA genre for quite some time now, probably the best part of 10 years, if not more. But that's been sort of rumoured to be dying off a little bit. I was massively invested in Paragon, and obviously that shut down earlier this year. I'd like to see a full 3D MOBA with verticality, with the visual fidelity of Paragon, come in to take its place and take the place of League of Legends as a sort of king of the MOBAs. In terms of hardware, although the show's sponsored by AMD or Intel,
it could be sponsored by NVIDIA this year, which would mean maybe a hardware reveal of their 11 series. I doubt it, but they might say their own conference of that.
Yeah, I mean,
tease.
Yeah, NVIDIA do their own conferences and their own, and obviously they're biggest player in the graphics card market, but they also do lots in terms of AI and driverless cars and things like that. Yeah. And a lot of their conferences are focused around that stuff, really tech heavy.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting to see them come along and say, here's our new gaming hardware.
I would really like that.
If they reveal that at E3, again, like you said, highly, highly unlikely. But actually, that would be a massive thing for me.
Yeah.
Okay then, guys. So next on the agenda is the big boy. It's Sony. We already know that there are 4 games that have been mentioned. The Last of Us 2 is the first one. For me, The Last of Us was absolutely amazing. Moving forward, I'd like to see more of the same. If Sony can tighten up the gameplay, be really happy. Has anyone else got any thoughts about how they'd like to see that improved?
I know they're big on The Last of Us 2 for E3. They've said it's going to be one of the big games they're showcasing, but actually, I don't really want to see it. I'm happy that they're making a sequel. I think it's going to be good, and they don't need to sell it to me.
Yeah. I know that Naughty Dog are a powerhouse. Let's just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
I know that you guys are a massive fan of the multiplayer within Last of Us 2, and I'd know that you would like to see that something that comes back and be improved upon.
Absolutely. It was so underrated. Like, probably the most underrated multiplayer suite that's appeared over the past sort of 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I'd definitely like to see them expand on that.
So next, one of the other big titles to talk about is Death Stranding. Captain, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's Hideo Kojima's new game. It's very, very weird.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Obscure.
Yeah. That's a better
good,
word.
of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't know what's going on in terms of gameplay, so we'd like to see that maybe. But I don't think that that's his sort of style. I think we're still going to see random little bits, and then what happens?
I don't know, Norman Reedus had some sort of baby in the trailer, didn't he? It was all very strange.
If we were to hazard a guess, take a punt, what kind of game are you expecting from this title?
I think you're going to end up with another espionage game.
Really? Okay.
I think it's going to be I think some sort of like bio horror will be the theme. I think it's hard to argue with that based on what we've seen. But in terms of actual gameplay, I think we're looking at some sort of third-person adventure game, maybe.
He likes to switch into action adventure a little bit.
Yeah.
We've seen it previously. I'd like to see something a little bit different.
I'm thinking of a Resident Evil type of styled game. Not
Okay.
so much the latest ones, but maybe Resident Evil 5 I'm going to go for.
No,
Very-
I like it because
Very
we have-
weird, but yet solid gameplay mechanics. You
and
know.
that's it, because we've had this link to the idea of PT, Silent Hills, which was originally what was going on, Norman Reedus and Del Toro, and now they've moved on to this Death Stranding, so I can imagine a little bit of horror being in there.
So, let's get the rest of the big boys out of the way. Spider-Man 4.
Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2 was groundbreaking. It was fantastic. It used the open world massively, and this year, Spider-Man 4, I want them to expand on that.
Let's not discuss 3.
Yeah, that's not 3 on the head. But Spidey 4, or whatever they're calling it, Homecoming, whatever, I want them to expand on that. I want groundbreaking sandbox style gameplay, but also as well, I want it to go a little bit Grand Theft Auto, whereas they take that sandbox environment and they channel it into a linear style within a story.
Lob, any thoughts on Spider 4?
I think I'm the only person in this room that thinks it looks like a big pile of shit, and I'm not interested at all. The trailer from, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, it just looked like loads of quick timey button pressing. Combat looked a bit like the Batman Arkham series, which was okay.
Yeah, but let's have it right.
It's not for me.
Yeah, but let's have it right. The combat in the Arkham series was fantastic.
It's okay, yeah.
No, well, all right, well, that's fair enough.
Dan, anything on Spider?
Yeah, Spider-Man 4 looks okay. You know, it looks nice, but I'm going to have to agree with Log here. Don't pull me in at all. Nothing groundbreaking here. It's just one of your casual superhero games.
So for me, Spider-Man 4 looks like a very well-made, polished title. I think it will have good gameplay, good combat. We've mentioned Arkham. I think that's the type of game that we're going to be looking for. To open it up to a big city like Grand Theft Auto style, that would be great. Let's see what we get from that. The last one.
So the last one of the big 4 that they've mentioned is the Ghost of Tsushima, I think it's called. This was first shown at the PlayStation event. I can't remember what it's called, PGX or something. It passed us by this year, and we had a quick look at the trailer, I think last week sometime. It's a samurai-based game, looks like it's going to be... I think it involves the Mongolian invasion of Japan or something.
Yeah, that's right. I watched a little trailer about this earlier, and it's a historically correct game. It looks actually quite good, I think. Don't know too much about it at the moment. I don't think they've shown an awful lot. I think it's definitely a title to be excited about.
But I think the main thing now then is moving forward is Sony have said we've got these 4 things that we want to showcase. Another game that I know that Dan, you're big on is Days Gone.
Yeah, 100%. It's very obscure, like all the other titles at the minute. We've seen some gameplay snippets, a few trailers, but we know it's a very big zombie, apocalypse style game.
And it's interesting because that's been done with The Last of Us. The zombies, okay, they're not officially zombies in The Last of Us, but there's something that's coming into the game. But I really like the idea of the gameplay mechanic of these hordes running at you, which we've seen a lot in the last conference.
I think that's what's going to be the big draw out of the game. Like in Last of Us, you've got an option to kill these, let's say, zombies, but in this, it's the only choice has got to be run and hopefully use the environment to your advantage to escape from these hordes.
Excellent. And I think that realistically, these games they need to be on rails to a certain degree. I'd like it to be a little bit more open, but I think that your best results are going to be on rails. The zombies are coming in a particular way, move this out of the way, etc., etc.
So I think if any of the games are going to be mentioned, I'd assume Sony have struck a deal with Activision for the new Call of Duty. I would expect.
You think Call of Duty is going to be on Sony's stage this year?
100%, yeah. I'm expecting the new very conflicted Battle Royale mode, which is replacing campaign, will be revealed at E3 this year, so maybe a gameplay snippet of that.
I actually think that might have some legs.
It sounds good.
I know Battle Royale is a big thing at the moment, and people are getting a little bit tired about it. But Call of Duty Battle Royale, come on, that could.
The way they've explained it does sound quite promising. But I'm going to hold my thoughts until I see gameplay.
The one problem I have with that is that Call of Duty has always been a very controlled experience. It's they control what is going in for the campaign. They control what is going on at any given time, and that allows you this really good visual fidelity because they know what that processor can do and what your graphics processor can do at any given time. But a Battle Royale, a big, massive open play field with 100 players in, can they pull that off with the same level of visual fidelity?
Wow. Sorry, Dan, to put it in there, have we had confirmation of a player count within these maps?
I think so. I don't want to put my word on it, but I'm sure they mentioned 100 players.
Wow. Well, I know that's the go-to figure, but for a Call of Duty game, 100 soldiers running around in that type of quality, then yeah.
I'm not holding my breath. We'll see what happens there.
Well, yeah, one of the other rumours that I heard is that Naughty Dog might be working on a new Jak and Daxter game. Not something I ever played in the past, but I know it would be the potential 4th or 5th instalment across all the platforms. And with the likes of your recent success of the Crash Bandicoot remakes and the Ratchet and Clanks, I think it would follow suit and would make sense for Sony.
Yeah, I can see them doing something like that. While it's not for me. I doubt I'll be checking it out, but it's certainly something we can maybe expect to see.
Mm. But I'm always happy to see IP being reintroduced as long as it's done the right way. I can't be dealing with just like random reboots. Okay, so in terms of peripherals, Sony VR was a massive part of last year's press conferences. It's one of their big pushes. What are we looking forward to this year in terms of Sony VR?
I'd like to see. We still haven't had what do they call it? A system seller. We haven't had that game that's just.
I've got to get VR because of this amazing title.
Yeah. We haven't had that yet, and it's a very experimental area. It's a new technology. Well, it's not new, but it's come to the forefront again. We're just getting to the point where it's actually a viable technology, and it's a lot of promise. If you put on one of those headsets, you know that there's something here. but no one has added the meat to that bones yet.
Yeah, and so specifically, we've spent the money to get VR within our lives. Within the GCKC, we've spent the money in order to get VR there. And I think it's safe to say that in terms of a VR experience, we feel a little bit let down.
Yeah. Well,
we'd like something really, really polished, ready to go in terms of VR.
I think what we're lacking at the moment is the balls of a developer to really get behind it and put some real money into it and take the chance on something. There's been some good titles and we've enjoyed some experiences and liked games and etc.
What about this? What about Wipeout? It's there,
but again,
Sony own the IP.
It depends.
Motor.
If do they go, here's Wipeout in VR. There's 5 tracks for you to play or whatever. No, you want a 30-hour experience. That's what I'm looking for. I want a 30-hour experience, dedicated game for VR. Personally, I'd like it to be multiplayer as well, because when you put that headset on, you're very isolated. And the games that I've enjoyed most in VR are the ones where I've been able to interact with other people, you guys over the headset, and we've had, we're both in that game and in that world, and that's what's worked for me. I don't want to be on my own.
That makes sense.
It's very easy to call PSVR for its shortcomings, but when you put that headset on, you forget. And, once a month, once every 2 months, you put that headset on and you are, oh my God, I forgot how amazing this can be. Yeah. And what we really need is someone to get behind someone and push and deliver an amazing experience.
With a level of addiction that makes you want to just get up off your ass and plug the headset in. The kind of games you'll get in single player or multiplayer games that you put in, day out, because you love the game and you want to play it, you just need that for VR.
So, finishing off with Sony then, I know we don't expect to see any hardware, but I would absolutely love it on a personal level. And I know a lot of the other boys out there and players in the world would love to see it. Xbox One X has been storming ahead with the technology, and Sony need to show their hand sooner or later. There's lots of rumours going around. Will it happen this year? Probably not. But on a personal level, I hope so.
I think we've got more chance of seeing a PlayStation 5 than we have, for example, the Elder Scrolls 6. So I'm not going to make a finger bum promise on that one. I think it's too early for them to show their hand on the PlayStation 5. I don't think they're ready to announce it yet. I think maybe next year is when we're going to see an it's coming message. But if they did, they'd steal the show.
The thing is we're in a position where we are happy to buy new tech. We're having to spend the money and we've got the resources in order to do so. But that being said, what are consumers going to do? Not buy the new machine? People are going to buy it.
So after Sony, we've got Nintendo. Now, Nintendo isn't actually an official part of E3 or hasn't been over the past couple of years. They tend to have this pre-recorded sort of show which they put out the day after the big conferences. Now, I'll be honest, I've watched one or two, but I've never been that sucked in or excited by what Nintendo have to offer. I think their machine is different, and they've always got something a little bit different to say, but the meat and bones of their presentations has always been a bit random and not really exciting viewing. What do you think about that, Mr. Day?
Well, Nintendo have got a massive amount of first-party support. We're talking Metroid, Star Fox, Mario Kart, Mario Party, and something that I'd like to see is Pilot Wings.
That would be amazing.
What that hasn't been around for ages, and I love that idea. It's similar to Mario Party. I love the idea of the little separate mini games, but with real expansive gameplay mechanics. And Nintendo, they've kind of rested on their laurels a little bit. It's the same thing in my opinion, it's the same thing that happened to Sega. They rested on their laurels, and it's just sort of shut down. I'd like to see Nintendo throw us out something like Splatoon, but I want more. I want Nintendo to really expand on their first party IP. Right then, so last of all, sometimes it's what you don't see that's important. And the GCKC would kind of like to end this a little bit with the things that definitely aren't going to be at E3. So what do we think is not going to be at E3 this year?
Well, you're not going to see Red Dead for a start.
So Red Dead is Rockstar, and Rockstar don't do E3. It's a shame because it's definitely one of the titles that we're most excited about. Rockstar are absolute animals. They take apart the industry like nobody else can. And Red Dead 2 is going to be really exciting. If you look now, even today, people are still logging in to play Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like, what, 5-6 years old? Something like that? They're mad for it. What else do we think that we're not going to see this year?
New Borderlands game, personally. I think it's 2K, so I think that'll be announced independently.
2K are now Rockstar's publisher, is that right? Yeah. And I think that 2K are in a position where they are kind of taking a little bit of example from Rockstar. Blizzard,
I don't think they've got anything to show. I don't know what they've got up their sleeve. Are they working on a new Diablo game? Are they working on a new MMO? They did have an MMO cancelled within the last couple of years. I think it was called Titans or something along those lines. No, I don't think we'll see Blizzard. There are some things that we will see or might see tucked into some of the other conferences, be it Microsoft or Sony, the most likely parties. CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk game. It was announced quite a while ago at E3, some years ago. I think they're going to be in a position to start showing something off, possibly this year.
There has been leaks, hasn't there, alluding to Cyberpunk, a real trailer or a gameplay demo, which I would be absolutely mad for because I'm very excited for this game.
I think everybody is, and so just to give us a little bit of background, CD Projekt Red made The Witcher. They're fantastic. They're fantastic titles.
Do you think we'll see something from Software, so the devs behind the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne? They've just put out the remastered version of the original Dark Souls. They should have been working on, or they should be working on, something else.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Bloodborne 2, but I'm going to hold my breath. I don't think we'll see anything from them.
So I potentially touched on a little rumour earlier from The Shadows You Live Twice, the rumour is, or there was this title put out from The Shadows You Live Twice.
Capcom and Konami, are they going to split their games between Microsoft and Sony, or are they going to stick with one side or the other?
Now, this is a weird thing here, because if you look at the sort of Japanese market, me and the General were discussing this earlier today, you'll find that like different cultures around the world are very, very much into different styles of games. So in Japan, we know 100% that they're going to be pushing all sorts of beat-em-ups. So Konami and Capcom push that massively. At least one of them, if not both of them, will have something to say in regards to a new game. We'll just have to see where it fits and what we're going for. Something that's a little bit close to our heart is NetherRealm Studios. So NetherRealm Studios used to be Midway. It's headed by Ed Boon, and they make Mortal Kombat. We've been playing Mortal Kombat since we were kids. NetherRealm did a little bit with DC, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
I never played it, but we did play the Mortal Kombat games. We'd like to see what they've got to say, and particularly Ed Boon, because he's a character within the industry, and I quite like his opinions and what he's got to say.
So to close out then, guys, we're going to stop this here. We could keep rambling all night. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we would look forward to see what E3 brings us.
Thanks very much. From me, Captain Dirt here, signing off. That was the full log.
Have a man.
Good night.